Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Sugar Mama's Fire Play podcast. I am financial planner Canna Campbell. Two quick housekeeping reminders. Number one, please make sure you refer to my general advice, warning, and disclaimer, and of course, my license details. Everything that you listen to in my podcasts, watch in my YouTube videos, or read in my blog posts, or even see on Instagram, it's always general advice. I'm never giving you personal advice, and I'm certainly never giving you product advice. So please always bear that in mind. Also, please make sure you are following me on Instagram because this is where I provide you with all the immediate swipe up access links to all of my content the moment it goes live. And of course, please feel free to make sure you're following me on my fun Instagram account at Canna Campbell Official. This is where I share with you my capsule wardrobe hacks, so I'm able to shop without breaking the budget, beauty hacks, minimalism, motherhood, and a little bit of mental health, trying to keep it all together in a challenging modern day world. All right, let's get cracking with this morning's podcast. So today we're going to be talking about the magic of the $1,000 project, and we're going to be chatting with a lovely lady named Bridget Johns from Be Simply Free. Bridget did the $1,000 project a couple of years ago, and it has changed her life. It's changed her career path. It's changed the way she looks at money, spends money, builds money, invests money. And she's on you could say she's tuned into a higher calling in her life. And her life seems so much richer. And without trying to blow smoke up my own backside, the $1,000 project, and I'm saying this because she's done all the hard work, not me, but the $1,000 project is actually what's helped her or enabled her to have a good crack at simply working on her dreams. And I'm going to stop talking so she can share her story. But everyone, I'd love you to meet Bridget Johns from Be Simply Free. Bridget, hello.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Sorry for taking so much credit for the $1,000 project. I should do upfront disclosure. No, this is all you, what you've done and how you've gone through, and also how you've, I guess, rebelled to a certain degree about, what your parents did as in their career paths, because so many of our parents, took the safe option, took one career path, that's what they stood with, and you kind of decided to go for your dream. So can you take me back to the very beginning, when you first found out about the $1,000 project and my channel and where it all began and how?
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, I think it was social media first that I started following you on, and then I'm a lover of books, so I'm always reading, and found your $1,000 project, and I think it was in March 2019. So at that point in time, I'd just changed roles and moved into a new role, but within 5 weeks of starting that job, we'd gone through a machinery of government change. So in state government, that means they can pick you up from one department and move you to the other. So the common thread was my project management skills, but it was moving me from my love and passion of workforce and skills development into investment and trade. So I was going through some adjustments, in my work life.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that would give me anxiety. I mean, I've been self-employed for such a long time, so I don't know what it's like to have the politics and the what is the politics of being self-employed? The politics of being an employee, particularly in a government organization where you don't really have much say. You just got to shut up and go with the change, whether you like it or not. Like that would have.
Yeah.
I feel anxious actually. I'm grabbing my neck thinking about that. So how did you cope with that stress? Was it a challenge or not? This is not what I signed up to challenge.
In the moment, it was the stamping the feet and crying and saying it's not fair. And I'm based regionally, so I'm 2.5 hours from Adelaide, our capital city. So I was supporting people in the rural area, but obviously we go down to Adelaide to be told a lot of these big things. So I do remember coming home 5 times. From each time there was new changes happening, coming home in tears. But on one of those times, I heard a quote that not all storms come to disrupt your path, some come to clear it. And that was a real catalyst for me because, as you said, my parents are wonderful state government teachers and have spent their whole careers working as a state government employee. and I was a state government employee in these different roles, and I felt that long service leave and having 10 years of service really meant a lot, but it just showed me that, I'm sort of a clog in a wheel, and maybe if I wanted to change that, I had a choice to do that, or I could have stayed working for state government. So that all happened around the time I was reading the $1,000 Project, and I thought, what's that big, bold and audacious dream? If I could do anything, if time and money were no object, what would I do? And I wrote down a little thing called being a professional organizer, and that scared the bejesus out of me, because that's completely different to being a state government, a regional manager, using my MBA skills and my Bachelor of Food Technology skills. So very different, but that's what I've always loved to do. And I've done it in my life, and I've helped lots of friends around that. But to step away and say, I want to be a business owner, that was completely foreign. And most of my friends were employees too. So I really didn't have exposure about what being a business owner meant.
That question of what would you do with your day if you didn't have to work, all your financial worries were taken care of, is a very, very powerful question, because it allows you to really see with a lot of clarity and depth and meaning as to how you really want to run your life. It's not doing this because it pays the bills or puts food on the table or pays off the home loan or pays the rent. It really does clear the decks for you to see what matters to you and where your value system lies. And also, I hate this, but I say it all the time, but it's, what's your higher calling? It allows you to tap into what that higher calling might actually be. So for anyone listening to this, stop and take the time to ask yourself, what would I do with my days? How would I live my life? What would I want to do that adds value to the world or makes me feel like I'm tuned into my higher calling?
Yeah, and budgeting definitely helped me to get there. So this was in 2019. And as I said, I'd worked in state government for so long, but normally on a year-by-year contract. So every October, I had the stress of not knowing if my job would be continuing in January. And I was very fortunate that they normally rolled over. But we'd spent a lot of time earlier on in probably about 2015 to really nut out our budget and understand what we truly wanted. And that's why I definitely resonate with you with the minimalist lifestyle and understanding about collecting moments, not things. So we'd reduced all our expenses down. So I had a bit of a safety net. I had my over 6 months worth of salary. So I did have that as a backing there.
Okay. Just to quickly touch on, I guess throwing the security of a salary, because this is something that people ask me about all the time. I don't really like my job. I want this other business idea, or I want this passion project I'd love to work on. It's the whole concept really of job security doesn't exist anymore.
No.
Even look at you. You work for the government. Our lives are multiple chapters. It's just not one single chapter. So for anyone out there thinking, I'm an accountant, or I'm a lawyer, or I'm a hairdresser, or I'm a beautician, or I'm a photographer, that doesn't necessarily have to be your career path for the rest of your life. You are the creator of your own destiny. And, when you open yourself up to that, it's amazing how, your life can really evolve and change and improve for the better and be more enlightening and full of more joy and pleasure, which I love how you have, bucked the system and gone, what, I'm going to do this. So talk me through the transition of how the $1,000 project helped you leap from this, and I say quotation, safe security of the government job that kept your family probably very happy and pleased and, didn't have to worry about you, to saying, I'm actually doing it. I'm going to set up my own business. How did $1,000 project help you transition? And how did you actually logistically transition? Because I think a lot of people think, oh, stuff it, I'm quitting my job and doing this. It's like, no, don't do that. Like,
no.
Ease in, but please tell everyone how you did it.
Cool.
So you've done it very successfully and very wisely.
Thank you. And another point that really resonated with me, when you're an employee, you've almost got one client. So if that employee job ends, you don't have anything. So when you're a business owner, you think of having all those different clients. So if one client ends, you've got other ones you can take on. So that was a little tip that helped me to step into that world as well.
It's an important one. It's diversification. It's the same with investing. Yep. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. You have a variety of different stocks in your portfolio, or a variety of different passive income streams, or a variety of different properties even. You never just have one, because that's a gamble, that's a risk. So that's a great point to raise. Thank you.
Yeah. And I was looking back through all the numbers, and I actually started my $1,000 project account on the 2nd of March. And interesting, the first transaction in there was a $5 where I didn't give my 8-year-old son money for a silly lolly game. So that was a little comment I wrote in there.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, this thing is so true. I mean, so many times we just kind of throw money at the problem, particularly with children when we're trying to do something. And I did this yesterday, actually. I bought my daughter a $4 book. So I was like, great, this will buy me like 20 minutes so I can clear some emails. And I was like, what am I doing? And yes, I did buy it. I will disclose that. But, it's so true. We do this all the time. And those little purchases here and there really do add up.
Yeah. So that's what started on the 2nd of March. And then, as I said, I asked myself that big question in May, saying, if time and money were no object, what would I do? So then I renamed my $1,000 project my professional organizer account. And I just kept adding those little dollars in there each time. And that's how I built my business. I didn't want to be taking out a loan or pulling from my salary to make this happen. So I kept building that up over time. And then in August, I went to the Institute of Professional Organisers. That's our peak body, their conference. And I used the funds in my $1,000 project account to attend that. And that put me in the space of meeting other people doing this job. So I'm very analytical, risk adverse. So I wanted to see what other people in this career do, how they did it. And then I could work out if it was the right thing for me. So this is all while I'm still working full-time in my employee job, and took time off to go to that conference.
I think there's 3 really important principles you raise here. Number 1 is obviously you didn't quit your job. You used your free time to go and research and explore and discover and understand exactly what you were potentially going to get yourself into and what was the work involved before actually, jumping in head first. Second thing is obviously you were smart with your money. You didn't go it amazes me how many people do this. They go take out a personal loan and buy all this equipment and expensive courses and training before they've really done any research. And quite often those courses are put on those ridiculous loans where you basically pay all the interest up front that gets added to the loan, and it can be up to 20%. And you kept going with your initial job in that you did a budget, you were frugal with your money, or mindful, probably more than frugal, in making sure that you had enough money as a safety net so that when you were ready to make that transition, you never went backwards financially. You bought yourself plenty of time to really give this business a really good opportunity to get off the ground. Now, they are the 3 of the biggest bits of advice I would give to anyone thinking of, turning a side hustle or starting up a new business, no matter how ambitious you're feeling, is to slow and steady, like be sensible, be wise. And I think you've nailed it. So just to come back to the $1,000 project for a second, like what are the key things you did to help you save that money? How much did you save? What were the key things you did? Like, did you have a special bank account? Did you redo your budget all the time? Like, was it a consistent amount of money that you put aside, or was it, irregular amounts of money that varied all the time? Like, what was the nitty gritty behind getting money into that separate dedicated savings account, assuming you had one, that is?
Yes,
Like,
yes, we did.
Because that's what I think people get a lot stuck. They're like, hey, all right, I get it. I want to have some money saved up before I do this. How do I do that with my, I can barely make ends meet right now. Like, how did you do it?
Yes. So I have an ING account, so I can see, and it's always on my phone there. So I use a few different philosophies and pick a mix about what I've used. So I've got my spend and my splurge in there, that are my daily accounts. And then I have a whole lot of sort of syncing accounts with the $1,000 project being one of them, my clothes that we budgeted and worked out how much we spend on clothes, that goes into another account. So I started by just putting those little dollar figures in there. Like, there was when I went to Adelaide and didn't buy a coffee, I'd put $5 in. I sold some tickets because we couldn't go to the Book of Mormon, which I was devastated that I couldn't go see that, but that money went back into that account. There was a Priceline voucher I've got some notes here, for $4.41 that I used and saved some money. So that money went in there. So it's really little.
Things add up. Actually, this week, Woolworths sent me an email saying on next order you'll get $25 off. And so a couple of days later, I did my monthly upfront grocery order and used that voucher, and $25 got transferred to the $1,000 project account. If you don't do it on the spot and make that money count, like transfer that $4 or $5 saving from your son's toy, or that Priceline voucher, do that transfer on spot, that money will just evaporate. You'll never really experience the true essence of and physical value of that savings. It will evaporate. So if
Yeah.
anyone's doing $1,000 project, always the moment you save money, jump on your phone. This is why I love banking apps. Transfer that money immediately, so it's out of your account and into your separate dedicated savings account. So in yours,
And
will
yeah.
be a separate dedicated savings account called the
Yeah, so an online only, online only account. So I could move it across to pay for these expenses like going to the conference, but yes, I couldn't access it for other things.
And did you nickname it $1,000 project account?
It started as $1,000 project, but then when I made the decision I wanted it to be building my professional organizer business, I changed it to professional organizer. So that was another reminder of what I wanted to use that money for to build the business. And we do fortnightly budgeting as well. So I'd run through and write down actually what we spent money on, and if there was any money left in those accounts, I would do a reset and put the money that we hadn't spent into my professional organizer account. So there are all those little dollars that really add up. And then as I moved and progressed forward, then I started to take those little bulk amounts of my salary. So when I say little or big, depending on people's budgets, like $100 here, $100 there, but it was mainly those little purchases and making conscious decisions, not to buy new things. And if I thought I was going to buy it and I didn't, then I would move that money over as well. So it's little by little and just starting, because it seems so overwhelming to start a business and there's all these costs, but if you can make those little changes, that will really add up over time.
Absolutely. And I think having quick, easy access to your account so that you can do it on the go, even if you're standing in the middle of a checkout at Woolworths or, lying in bed at night time, being able to quickly transfer money, but also see that money quickly and easily add up, going from seeing $493 into your account to $502 in your account, like that psychological breakthrough from being a $400 figure to a $500 figure is really exciting. And I really believe it drives that motivation and inspiration just to keep going and see how far you can really go with it. So you're saving away, you're budgeting, you're being. Did you do anything to bring in extra money? Like, did you do anything like decluttering? Did you sell anything? Did you start doing extra side hustle work to help bring in extra money for the $1,000 project for this business take off?
Probably not. Probably a little bit of selling, but the most of the time it was using my time to build up the business, and then slowly moving money over and reducing our expenses. So if we didn't use our $100 entertainment budget line for that month, we would move it across. But it wasn't that we didn't intentionally stop doing things as a family. A big belief for me is to collect those moments, not things, but maybe it was choosing to do a family fun day or time together that was going to the park and taking some lunch with us that we were planning to already have, or having some takeaway food and not buying the drinks, and then that drink money going into the $1,000 project. So we're super conscious of making those moments and not letting budgeting stop us having fun.
It's my son's birthday on Saturday, and Tom and I said to him, Rocco, you can do anything you want this Saturday. Do you want to go to Nubo? Do you want to go to Archie Brothers, like gaming arcade? You can, whatever you want, you can pick for the day. And he actually turned to us and said, and we were like naming restaurants and cafes. He said, I just want to make crepes at home.
Oh, beautiful.
And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I just want to make crepes, but Nutella crepes. And I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, that's all I want to do. And it's kids.
We overcomplicate things, and kids want the simple things. We put our own perceptions and lens on things, but kids want the most beautiful little things. My parents are on the same philosophy as us, which is really great. And my mum gives my daughter experience gift cards. So she's an amateur photographer, so she'll pick out little pictures of the kids on the park, and then when we go to Adelaide, they can choose to look at the box and choose an activity they can do together. And one of their favorite things to do, because we're from the country, they don't use public transport very often, is to go on a tram ride and have sushi at the food court. And that seems so foreign to us, and why would someone want to do that? But it's a new experience for them. So don't overcomplicate what you think your kids want.
Exactly. And they just want to just hang out with us so much
time with us. Yeah.
My son just loves to jump into bed with me and watch something on Netflix, like Bluey or King Julian's the latest thing.
Oh, yes.
Now tell me about all right, how did you do this? Like, how did you have um, the bravery to go, all right, I'm ready now. I'm ready to do this a good go. Like, talk me. You obviously said you went and did your research and went to the conference to really do your research and thorough investigation. Like, you're saving up all this money. How did you do it? How did you break it? Like,
Yeah. First thing to do was to write it down and then say it out loud. So there was some accountability to myself and to say, this is what I'm planning to do. So this was all happening in early 2019. And I knew I had my contract until the middle of 2020. So I had some background, some lead time, but also an end date that I was working
deadline.
towards. Yeah.
I was thinking, yeah, yeah, okay. You had to get things moving quickly as possible and make the most of time.
Yep. And then I had a hobby in anonymous Instagram account called Farmer's Wife Minimalist Life. So I was sharing those decluttering tips and it was resonating with people. But being a government employee, I didn't have my name on it or my face on it. So, and I didn't enjoy public speaking and talking with other people, but knew that was something I would have to do in my business. So I did an Inkling Speakeasy course to speak on camera and work in workshops and things like that. And then again, I said from that workshop, within 7 days, I was going to put my voice onto Instagram stories. So that was those little steps to build my business to life, and starting a simple website, not going too complex, but also getting some support in and using that $1,000 project money to outsource some of that, because I did start building my own, but I was spending too long of my time doing it. So I outsourced that.
You definitely
And
get
I
to the point where in your life when you run your own business where you're like, okay, all right, I can, like, I'm all for being frugal when you're starting up a business, doing as much of it as you can, because it's the best way to learn. Like, the first Sugar Mama website I built myself on a Saturday night lying on the sofa. But you do get to the stage where you're like, okay, I can only take this so far. I need to then outsource, delegate, and bring in experts. And it is an investment in the business. But I always try and say to people, try to do as much as you can yourself initially, because it's
yeah.
the best way to learn, and you have a new appreciation for things like building a website. It's not as simple as that, you know. So okay, so you got to the stage where you're like, okay, all right, I've done as much as I can, save my pennies in the business and cut costs where I can. Ended up having to get people on board to help you take it to the next level. And then what happened? Like, how did you?
Yeah, and then I got the brand and we started Be Simply Free, and I launched that on the 3rd of March 2020. I think it was 2 weeks before the pandemic started here in Australia. So I was still, again, working full time until the end of July 2020, but I was taking steps to launch it into the world and start working one-on-one with clients. And I built on my network. I used my networks, and a friend works for a local government. And as everything had moved online and lots of people were working from home, I offered them, they paid me to run an online workshop to help people sustainably declutter their lives. And I was very grateful that over 400 people signed up and were exposed to my services within a first couple of months. But that was using my networks and being lucky in a way that lots of people were at home and being in their spaces more and seeing all the clutter around them. But it was just a great opportunity that really build my mailing list and built my connections and got me some of my first clients.
Look, I obviously, I always think it's important to appreciate and pay homage to luck, but I also think you were very smart and you worked very hard. You know, you tapped into your networks, which is an intelligent, resourceful thing to do. And you know, the key word that really resonated with me is you said sustainably declutter. You know,
Mhm.
I had an amazing experience where I went to the Salvation Army in Rockdale, and they were so overwhelmed to the point where they actually couldn't take any more packages, or donations, I should say, from people, because the Marie Kondo effect had really kicked in, and people
Yes.
were just simply dumping their stuff. And I know giving to money, giving your unwanted or unloved items or unused items to charity is important and valuable, but they were overwhelmed. They didn't have enough storage space, and they took me for a tour around all the sort of out of bounds areas, and it was
Mhm.
packed to the ceiling. And they just said, we can't physically cope anymore. We don't have enough staff to manage this. It's, you know, they send a lot. They are a zero waste, and they do eventually get a lot of stuff sent to third world countries. But still, it met that keyword of sustainably. sustainability when it comes to decluttering is, I think, puts you one step above, you know, other declutterers and professional organizers in the world. So you had a competitive advantage, and yeah, you got out there and did it. You put yourself out there, and yes, I'm sure luck was on your side, but I'll tell you what, your luck came your way because you put the hard yards in.
Yep. And we talk about decluttering, but I think the most cluttered place in people's homes are their minds. And we've got so much moving around in there. So I talk to people about decluttering their homes, phones, calendars, and minds. So they've got more space in their home and time in their calendar to collect moments, not things. And I love working with people over a longer period of time, because it's great to declutter things, but if you haven't made the mindset shift, that stuff is going to come back in. And if you're not intentional about what you're purchasing, it's a complete continual cycle. And as you said, our op shops can't take all this stuff. And if people are dropping off to op shops, and I'll put my hand up, and quite a few years ago, I call myself an op shop dropper offerer and not shopping in there. And so many people need to step into those beautiful op shops and find those hidden gems and those beautiful pieces. And you're so good at sharing what you find online, and you can purchase from eBay and different shops to buy those vintage pieces. But there's amazing things in op shops, and I just encourage everyone to take a lunch break if you're walking past one and go in there and find some beautiful things.
And even in the regional towns, checking out the Smith family or the Vinnies here in the regional towns is also so important. There's so many fantastic gems in there as well.
And my kids, when we go on road trips, like, oh, is there an op shop in this town? Can we stop in? So it is a beautiful thing to be able to see even the different styles. You get a bit of a feel of a town by what you find in the op shop too.
One thing I want to also just bring up there is you talked about like decluttering the mind and calendar and so forth. And the big one thing that and it sounds very counterintuitive to my message and philosophy about wealth creation, is actually minimalizing your money. Not having too many savings accounts, not having one credit card or no credit cards, having one superannuation account, having your insurances, as in your personal insurances, consolidated in the right structures. Having one budget, having a family budget, and then having obviously your own personal budget, not having money floating, owing all over the place, all these online savings accounts that you often lose in cyberspace, and, parcels of shares that you've got picked up, from, say, a co-op many, many years ago, I think, like such as the old Telstra, for example, or minimize the stress of your finances. That's a big one for me. I do actually have a podcast coming up about this minimalism and money shortly, but it's a really big one. It's one that's added a lot of value to my life, and made navigating my finances and my financial journey in building wealth creation so much more enjoyable and enlightening as well.
Yeah, and it takes so much time and energy to think about all those things. So if you simplify every area of your life, and as you're talking about money there, it makes your life simpler, and it makes, you can find things quickly. And that's the same when you declutter things in your physical spaces. If everything has a home, you can find it really quickly. So if you've got money in one home, you can find it quickly. And I just really encourage people to have things in their home that they love. And if everything's special, nothing's special. So I find a lot of people want to hold on to things that are quite sentimental to them, but it's hidden away in a cupboard, and they're not using it or showing it. So if you've got a beautiful tea set from your auntie or your grandmother that's sitting up in a cupboard, get it down, use it, have a tea party with your kids, even though they're young. If you watch them hold it. If you explain how beautiful it is and the memories it has, use it. And unfortunately, if it breaks, think about the wonderful times you had with it, because I'd much prefer to use something for an hour than have it hidden up in a cupboard.
This is probably way too much information, especially for a Monday morning, but I'm big on that with underwear.
Yes.
I wear a matching set of, not like, I'm not talking some sort of erotic shades of grey underwear. I'm talking just like, the basic line underwear, but I wear a matching set of underwear every day. I don't just save the special underwear for special occasions. And trust me, Tom leaves at like 4:30 in the morning, so he doesn't get to see it or benefit. But I wear it for me. I wear it for me.
Yes.
I feel good. And at the end of the day, if I had a crappy day or I'm really tired, I'm like, well, at least I'm wearing a pair of, let's say lingerie, but underwear, and it matches, and something is going all right in the day. It makes me feel but like, don't save those precious, beautiful things and hide them away. Like, well, obviously I'm hiding away under a coat and a t-shirt, but it's for me. But I think I really agree with that. Like, get it out, enjoy it, make the most of it. We should, and we're creating memories, as you say. Bring out that t-shirt, play with your children, and yeah,
Yep.
special.
And
All right.
probably something I didn't mention while in my journey, I'm still working part-time. So this is a pandemic and I'm a risk-averse person. So as I'm building a business, I left working for state government, but I used my network and connections to have a part-time job. And I was working 3 days a week until this Friday. But as of this Friday, I'll drop back to 2 days a week. So it's a continual process of having some security as I build my business. And then as I'm feeling more confident with building Be Simply Free, I'm taking a step back from the employee jobs to have more space for my business and for my life and my family as well. So at the moment, it's stretching into some mornings and evenings, and I don't want that to continue. So I'm making some more space in my calendar to build the life and the business I want.
That's such a smart thing to do. Slow and steady. Like, don't just suddenly quit. Take it back from 5 days to 4 days, and then when you think you could have, the numbers stack up and show you that you can afford to do it, then go from 4 days to 3 days, and then, as you are doing now, 3 days to 2 days. I think that's really wise and intelligent. You've mentioned your parents a lot in this. Looking at their background, and being, sorry, school teachers, is that right?
School teachers, yeah.
How did you handle any, not backlash is the wrong word, but any sort of judgment or comments or opinions from other people going, oh my gosh, that's such a danger. What about this? What about that? Like the panic merchants, the fear mongers. How did you handle that?
Yeah, and I'm so grateful to my parents. I never had any of that from them. And I'm grateful that they instilled a lot of this budgeting and the collecting moments, not things, with me. So I'm probably sure in the background they might have been thinking a little bit, oh, Bridget's taking a different step or a different move there. But a lot of my money philosophies have come from them, and they've put a lot into savings and shares and their retirement. So they live a life of collecting moments, not things, and traveling now. But definitely found that being surrounded by employees in lots of my friendship circles, I didn't really know other people in business. So I built my network of people in business as well. But yeah, there are a few that are like, what is professional organizing? Are you a wedding planner? Or what is this? Or how are you going to get people to pay for your knowledge? And that's something I had to work through, myself as well. But as I said, I did it in a safe way for me, that I was still having money coming in each week to cover the things we needed to cover, and to still be able to travel and go on our family holidays and collect moments with my family. But it was little by little, step by step, talking to people and saying, I don't know this, can you help me with it? And my parents are my biggest cheerleaders and always supporting what I'm doing. They're coming up to visit this weekend, and they're always helping out when I need some help to go to a networking night in Adelaide or to go to that conference. So my parents came up from Adelaide to the farm and looked after my kids and supported my husband because he was during a busy time on the farm. So they came and did the drop-offs and pickups and helped out. So they're my biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah, well, you're very, very lucky. You said this beautiful thing, and I was like, quick, write that down, but I didn't get it in time. You said, if everything's something along the lines, so I'm going to have to repeat this, but you said something like this. If everything is special, nothing is special. So, what was?
Yeah.
You said it better than how I've just tried to.
Yeah. I definitely talk about that when people say, but they want to keep everything, or they want to keep all the things in their home. But remember the definition of special, even the definition of a priority, is it's the one thing, or it's the first couple of things there. So it's not keeping all your kids' baby clothes from when they were growing up, because it's not special if it's everything and it's taking up your whole cupboard. So I have a little box up here. I'm in my office at the moment, and I've got a box that has my kids' memories in it, and I reduce what's in there over time. So it probably started off with quite a few sentimental clothes for me, but as time gone on, I've looked at that and says, I'm going to keep the outfit they came home from the hospital in and their first pair of shoes, and then I'm going to add other special things to the box. But I have a space boundary that tells me that this is the amount of beautiful things I want to keep, because in real life, I don't have a box of those things from when I was younger, and it's not the end of the world for me to not have that either. So we're keeping all these things for other people, but you probably don't want it in the future either.
Well, look, I can't thank you enough for sharing this story with me. This, it's setting up your own business it's scary. I did it when I was in my mid-20s, and I was very naive at the time, and blissfully naive. Because I think if I'd done that now, I don't think I would have necessarily done. I wouldn't have been as brave enough. So, listening to someone who's a mother, who had the security of a government job, and and also your husband's a farmer, like that's a fairly high risk
Professional
job.
gambler.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
joke that, we
exactly,
depend on the rain.
exactly, and lots of tragedy and triumphs as well that come for with a farmer's life. So it wouldn't have been easy to make this transition. So I'm so grateful for you sharing this story on my podcast this morning. Just before we wrap up, what are I guess, your top 3 bits of advice for someone who is thinking of doing the $1,000 project? Like, how do you make the most of those savings? How do you make sure you're committed to it? It makes a difference, actually changes and improves your life.
Yeah, well, as I said, write it down and say it out loud. So if you're wanting to make a change, talk to your partner, or if you don't have a partner, a best friend, and just say, this is what I'm planning to do. Because I definitely find having someone to be accountable to can keep you going forward, and ask them to check back in with you and see how you're going there, and just do something. As I said, that first entry into my $1,000 project was not giving my son lolly money, and there was a $4.41 price line voucher that I used. And then celebrate your successes. It doesn't need to be buying things as well, but I've just sent a message to my girlfriends for this Friday. So I launched a course, and I'm leaving my job on one of my employee jobs this Friday. So we're going out to have a celebratory lunch. So if you get to that $1,000 mark of getting $1,000 in your $1,000 project, do something to celebrate that you've made it to that $1,000 mark. Because if you hadn't started, you wouldn't be where you are now. So I always say to my clients, a year from now, you wish you'd started today. So start today and put that first dollar into your $1,000 project.
Well, Bridget, thank you so much for sharing your story and your words of wisdom and your insights into not just money, but also living a simpler life, a clutter-free life, and a more meaningful life, a richer life, in fact. For anyone listening to this podcast right now, I hope you're feeling inspired and motivated to actually have a go at having your own $1,000 project, seeing where this takes you. Bridget used it to help her transition from the safe security of a government job into running her own business and being the creator of her own destiny. Perhaps you'd like to use the $1,000 project for turning your, I guess, hobby into a business yourself. Or perhaps it's something like saving up for a holiday, or for a maternity leave, or retirement, or investing, whatever it may be. Allow your imagination and your determination to see where the $1,000 project can take you. And of course, from this podcast, I hope that it inspires you as a potential small business owner, budding entrepreneur, someone with an ambitious, wild, and creative and amazing dream or goal to have a crack, see how you can start leaning in. What are the changes you can make in your life right now to actually give that business opportunity the best chance possible at flourishing and seeing where it takes you. And then finally, I hope this podcast, listening to it, inspires you to embrace a clutter-free life, a life where it's richer because you have less stuff clouding your path, pulling you down, weighing you down in life, but seeing where all the value and beauty lies in things that are actually, priceless. They don't cost anything, but they're so much more meaningful. And they are really the true seeds of what make us feel truly fulfilled, authentically happy, and that real sense of bliss and joy in our lives. So for anyone listening to this right now, please make sure you go and follow Bridget on her Instagram account at Be Simply Free. And of course, make sure you're following me on Sugar Mama's Instagram account, and if you like, at Canna Campbell Official, because I'm doing more decluttering little reels for you guys to help keep you motivated. And for anyone who's thinking about money and wants to start where Bridget started, with that initial question of what would you do if you had all the money in the world, or money wasn't a problem. The first couple of chapters of Mindful Money, I actually have a whole range of questions and almost like a built-in workbook into the book to help you discover how you want to live your life, what you want your days to look like, what you want your weeks and months to look like, and how you really want to spend your time. And I hope that it helps you peel back the layers and see what you stand for, what matters for you, and what you want to create and attract and manifest more of in your life. Bridget, thank you again for coming onto this podcast. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to do this with me. Thank you again. And any other final words of wisdom for any sort of entrepreneurs out there or people who want to get in touch with you to ask you about decluttering?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I just want to share that I really want to empower women to live a life where their homes and minds are decluttered so they can be simply free. And there's so much power when you let go of the perceptions of others and trying to keep up with the Joneses. Live your life, work out what you want your life to live to look like, and just be simply free and live it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate your time. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to Sugar Mama's Fireplay podcast. I am Canna Campbell. If you could take a split second to leave a rating and review, I would greatly appreciate it. And as I said, don't forget to make sure you're subscribed or following us on Podbean so you have immediate access to all of the podcasts. And of course, on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Ciao for now.